Welcome, everybody, to the Integrate Yourself podcast. We're your hosts, Allison Pillow and Maya Gottlieb. You can find me at pureenergypdx.com, and you can find Maya at mayagottlieb.com. Today, we're here with Krista King of Fitlandia. She is amazing. She is CEO and founder of Fitlandia. She's also a recovering dieter. And after reaching her highest weight of 192, she hit a wall and was determined to crack her own code for making a healthier lifestyle change. Leaving a successful 23-year career in hospitality behind, she became a certified hypnotherapist, life coach, and nutritional therapist. By putting these pieces together, she saw what was truly missing in the diet and fitness industry: a holistic approach that starts with strengthening the mind. Her signature Mindzoning process helps people create new neural pathways in the brain to enable them to make a permanent lifestyle change. And this is so important, especially this time of year when we're having all the New Year's resolutions and people are wanting to make all these changes in their lives. And if, as you probably know, Krista, if you're making a lot of changes all at once, it can be overwhelming, and sometimes you can sabotage yourself that way. So I'd love to hear more about your story, Krista, and how you have you expand a little bit on how you came about doing this for people, and your website, fitlandiafitness.com, which is a plethora of just amazing information for people. You can, do classes online, take fitness classes, as well as there's so many great resources for meditation, and you have your own meditation strategy, which is the Mindzoning process. So I don't know, wherever you want to start, Krista, there's so much to talk about. So welcome to our show.
Thank you. It's so good to be on your show. I know there's a lot to unpack because there is a lot to ending the yo-yo dieting cycle. It's complex and it requires a complex solution. But a little bit about my background. Basically, in around 2012, I hit the end of my rope. As you mentioned, I was 192 pounds. I was actually working out about 6 hours a week and not losing a pound. I knew I needed to eat right, but I had no idea what were the right foods for my body. And I certainly didn't know how to get off of my reliance on sugar, alcohol, and refined carbs because I was in this crazy stressed job and really just burning myself out. So I Googled Soul Retreat. I went to Sedona, Arizona. I was like, I need a break. I got to do something.
Right.
And I met with 11 practitioners over 5 days and completely 180'd my life. And it was within 4 months that I left my corporate career and became a certified hypnotherapist, got my second life coaching certification. And through the process of working with, becoming interested in the mind and how that connects to what's happening with our body, I also then went on to become a nutritional therapist. And it was really at that time that I started to put the pieces together of what I believe is the only way to get off the dieting cycle. And this is for chronic dieters. I'm talking to you ladies out there that I know from the ages of even, early adolescence, even some people childhood, going into this restrictive phase and not understanding food. It's the 4 cornerstones of fitness, which is good nutrition, daily movement, positive thinking, and community connection. Because what I did in my former life in hospitality was all left brain analytical stuff. So strategic planning, demand forecasting, competitive analysis. So I was really, when I came into this industry, or how it came to me, really, I became very curious about the statistics and why is it that nearly 70% of all people that go on a diet fail to reach or maintain their goals. So I just started geeking out on all the science, and I feel like I cracked the code. So I'm just happy to get the message out.
Yeah, and you have a podcast actually called Fitlandia that I love a lot, and it's you've got some great information out there. But why I wanted to bring that up is because you do talk about your struggles with dieting. And one thing that Maya and I have noticed is that people are just starving themselves, and that seems to be the trend. Like, they're just running on this low energy state because of diets that are
Yes.
not really nourishing. So, and that's what stood out to me when I heard your story, and I was like, wow, yeah, that needs to be addressed and talked about for sure. The psychology around it as well.
Yeah, well, I think that's the number one thing is the psychology around it. So usually when people are on those super restrictive diets, there are some protocols that have health benefits. That's for the naturopaths and the functional medicine practitioners. But the average person that's going on a restrictive diet, I can pretty much guarantee with certainty that they are trying to lose weight fast. Because when you actually shift to a whole foods diet, when you approach it from a fitness and wellness journey and this idea of health and figuring out what works best for your body at the right times, the weight is just a symptom. It comes off naturally once you're in alignment with what you should be eating. So, whenever I hear restrictive diet, like I have a nutrition and mindset program that it's called 30 Days to Thriving. And we do an elimination of highly inflammatory foods. And then at the end, I teach people how to add foods back in one at a time so that they can really customize what I call a dietary strategy for themselves, something not only that they can enjoy, but something that nourishes their body and their specific needs. And we don't count a single calorie in that program. There's no restriction other than the foods that we're trying to get you off of that are causing inflammation.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Which is really kind of a good way of doing it, because most of the time people aren't having a body awareness when they're in that zone of losing weight fast, or they have this mindset that they had, a limited amount of calories for the day. And so then they don't really set into like, is my body stressed today? Do I need more calories to offset the stress that I've had? And be okay with that, because a lot of people get really into the shame and the guilt, which is really hard to even go to the next day because, they're still fretting about what they did yesterday.
Yeah, so I would love to talk about this shame piece, because that's one of the reasons why I am so open, especially my podcast, because I just talk a lot on that, about my own relationship with sugar, refined carbs, and alcohol. And I don't think we talk about it enough, right? Because there's a lot of shame around it. Like, I should have the willpower. I should be able to manage differently. I should. When really people, if they can understand two things. The first is, we have a physiological reason why we crave those things. They fire up the pleasure center in the brain. And when we're in a stress state, that's what we want to go to. We want to feel safe. We want to feel soothed. So there's a reason behind that. Now, there's other strategies that can give you similar, if not better, benefits that also support your goals. But the second reason, and this is really where the mindzoning comes in and why diets fail, is because from the time that we're born, we are developing these strategies, and either coping strategies or celebration strategies all around sugar, refined carbs, and alcohol. You think about a child in its first birthday. You think about a funeral. There's food. There's everything that we have, whether it's celebration or mourning, is related to this. So your brain starts to develop these connections that food's going to take care of me when I'm stressed, and food's going to complement when I want to celebrate. And so really creating that new thought pattern to then crave, I'm stressed out. I'm going to go do some breath work, or I'm going to go for a brisk walk. That's what we really want to be craving. And that's going to boost up the brain and take care of you in different ways that serve your greater health.
Yeah, I think also we've noticed quite a bit with the change of the society's way of determining what's bad for us. Like carbs are bad, and sugar's bad, fat's bad, protein's bad, and everything's got this like connotation where we've lived into this like, one day you can eat this and one day you can't eat this because of the science that backs up this and that. And what we've noticed is a lot of times is that if you go back to the physiology, you really see that, sugar is not to be in excess, but it is a necessary need. Like there are certain things about what sugar does for your organs, your eyes, your brain, and the way the body needs it. So like if you look at an athlete who kind of walks in, saying, yeah, that's the only thing I use while I'm, stressing myself out for a couple of hours, right? But most of the time what's happened is then the dogma comes in and teaches people, oh, you've got to be careful about what you're doing all the time. And so you run around in the state of like, what's good, what's bad? I don't know. And so getting back to the body awareness gets you a little bit understanding that when you have the sugar, there is a need for the sugar and there's a reason why you crave the sugar. But then there's also that part of you that says, well, I shouldn't be doing that. But that's the part of you being conflicted on knowing who you are and what you need.
Well, and you bring up another point too. It's like the varying nutritional philosophies. Yes. Like what you're saying. Like that messaging, I totally get your point. We don't want to demonize any food because then it becomes this emotional resistance and it creates more of what we don't want. But yet it comes down to the individual, right? How much are they moving? What kind of movement are they doing? And so I really think making that mind-body connection and really like, honestly, like people are shocked to find out I don't completely eliminate anything from my diet other than bell peppers because I don't like them.
Oh, but I agree with you on that one. Right. I have to agree with you on that one. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But I will have my donuts. I will have my wine. But I will say this. I know that I have a susceptibility, maybe more than most, I don't know because I don't know the studies on this, to enter into an addictive cycle when I am eating sugar, refined carbs, and alcohol. So when I talk to most of the people that I work with, sugar is a really tricky thing for them. They have to learn over time, what are their triggers? How are they managing their stress? How are they moving? Are they moving enough? And where else can they get those carbohydrates that are healthy, whether it's whole fruit or sweet potato, parsnips, whatever. Right. But I always come back to that processed sugar is really bad. And we don't like to say good and bad, right? Because I like you said, I totally get your point. I don't demonize the donut, but I also know what's happening in my body when I have the donut. I know what's happening with my blood sugar. I know what's happening in my brain, and I know what the after effect, more importantly, is going to be. It literally takes me personally back into another carb craving cycle. So I just have to know, okay, then I have to get back on track with my strategies. So it really is this individual. I think from our 2 points of view, it's an individual experience, and it's making that mind-body connection. Absolutely.
I agree with that 100%. And I think as you get more educated and have different experiences with trying different things, then you can start to see like what kinds of carbohydrates are better than others, right? And how like some of the starchy refined carbohydrates are not gonna, you're not gonna get as much nutrients as you are as like from a fruit or a root vegetable or something like that. So it's how your body takes it in and how you feel when you take it in too. It's like that whole experience of it. So, I think what Maya and I what we talk about is like for some reason, like sugar gets put into this category and all the sugar, like all the carbohydrates kind of get lumped into this same like category, and for some reason, and that is that kind of bugs me a little bit because I feel like we don't want to cut all those out, right? There's some that are very valuable for metabolism, like the ones I just mentioned. So I think that but I totally agree with you. Like the those pastas, the breads, the alcohol, that's not going to be good for your body. And it's okay when we're celebrating or we're doing it every once, but again, like if you're going to that because out of need or comfort, then you have to reflect back on that because that becomes an issue for sure. I agree.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the Mindzoning. Like you have these great audios and stuff. So give them a little insight of what those are and what people are kind of going to expect when they purchase them.
Yes. So Mindzoning is just like a guided meditation. It's got either positive suggestions or an invitation to do visualization, which is creating a blueprint in your mind for your body to then go execute. They're mixed with beautiful spa music. I mean, they couldn't be more like a guided meditation. And the intention is to get your mind really relaxed and focused. As you guys can imagine in our day-to-day, especially for someone that's trying to get healthy, it is overwhelming. Don't eat this, count calories, don't count calories, la 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 la, right? All the information that's out there, it's overwhelming. And there's a lot of truth to all of it. It's just, how do you filter that out and make it work for your body? But the intention with Mindzoning is to actually quiet and relax your mind. So that what happens in, whether it's hypnosis, meditation, or prayer, is your brain waves start to slow down, you get relaxed, and you can start to tap into your inner wisdom, or what some people would call the subconscious mind. All your memories are stored there. 90% of your behavior, your automatic behavior, is stored there. We're not even aware of it. That's why we get in our car. We don't think about, here's the key, let me put it in the ignition, put my foot on the brake. No, it just happens, right? Because we've created a neural pathway that says this is how you start a car. Right. So what we're doing then in Mindzoning is giving the brain a faster, easier path to creating these new neural pathways and literally replacing the old ones. So one of the kind of conscious techniques that I give people outside of Mindzoning is a Mindzoning mantra, which is, if you're having any negative thought, and I give this tip no matter what show I'm on, this is like my number one tip, catch yourself having a negative thought. For example, I don't have time to work out. Catch it and immediately reframe it into a positive, saying, I have plenty of time to make exercise a priority. Now, you might not believe it right away, but when you start to repeat that to yourself, your brain doesn't know fact from fiction. It takes it on as truth, and it will start to execute against that. And here's a great example. Like, I was celebrating a little too much over my book launch. We'll talk about that this past fall. And I noticed, wow, I'm drinking more than I wanted to. And so I just started to say to myself, it's easy for me to be sober. It's easy for me to be sober. And whenever I craved alcohol, take a deep breath. It's easy for me to be sober. And don't you know, 2 weeks later after doing that, I said to my husband, let's give up alcohol for another 6 months at the beginning of the year. We can talk about New Year's revolutions versus resolutions too. Oh, yeah. Because I don't think it's just the beginning of the year when we can start these things. You can start them today or in August. But I use that example because we really start to set ourselves up for success when we create that new thought pattern. It just happens a lot faster when you're in a quiet, relaxed state. So that's really what the audio recordings, and there's titles from, there's one called The New You Now, which is a beautiful visualization technique where you actually step into your future self and you get to experience like the physicality of it, like muscle tone, whatever it is that you imagine for yourself, your energy, your focus, your joy, your confidence. And you get to live in that energy, because that's the second part to Mindzoning, or a mantra, is when we have that thought, attach the emotion to it as if it were, and you will create that thought pattern even faster. So those are my down and dirty tips about Mindzoning.
Yeah, that's important to create, to connect to the feeling of something you want to manifest in your life, for sure. That's a big part of it.
So tell us a little bit about why Fitlandia, why the name? I know you're from Portland, Oregon.
I think I know the answer to that one.
Well, this beautiful beast was born in Portland, Oregon, so everyone knows Portlandia. But it was really, what was really important to me is to always incorporate the 4 cornerstones of fitness. And the community connection piece, I won't get into the rat studies and addiction and how much community really helps in pulling people away from addiction. But when I think of the word Fitlandia, for me, it gives this sense of place. And really I try to create that in everything that I do, whether it's my closed Facebook group that everyone listening is welcome to come join. Just do a search on Facebook for Fitlandia. Or if it's my secret members only forum, I have every intention, no matter any way that someone engages with me, that they can feel safe, they feel vulnerable, they feel included. They feel like they are a part of something bigger than themselves that is going to get them to their greatest self. And so that lends to the name too. But there's also something a little whimsical or woo about it, which totally ties to the hypnotherapy and the Mindzoning and the meditation. So I just think it's the perfect name for what I'm doing.
What's the woo?
Well, just the mind-body connection. There's still so many people that are locked into the old dieting dogmas, and I'm this land that's all in your mind too.
Yeah,
how awesome
mystical.
is that?
I get
we didn't know. I didn't know if there was going to be like a video of some show that you were going to create about Fitlandia or some kind of like what.
Oh yeah.
That's a good idea, actually.
We got to send this out to Oprah because I want this to be the next show. I want this sense of place everywhere.
Yeah.
Anyone that's dieted, I want you to come to Fitlandia.
So let's talk about your book, Krista, because, I mean, this is a huge thing. You were talking to me about this the other day, and you were telling me about the process of creating this book and publishing it and all that. And it sounded like just a lot of work, first of all, but definitely something to be super proud of. And so do you want to talk a little bit more about what the book is about? Because I know there is a part of the book, too, that you kind of came up with not the last minute, but a little bit like right before you were going to put it out.
Yes.
Which is like a planner, basically, right? To help you goal set and that kind of thing. So yeah.
So anyone that knows me knows I'm crazy. And I want to say it was back in like June. I say crazy in the most loving way. Ambitious. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
But it was probably back in June. I did this amazing strategy session. I'm going to give a shout out to Megan Thomas. She's still in my life today as a peer, and she's incredible. And she just helped me get really focused about what do I want to do next with Fitlandia. And so we were talking about how I could improve the programs, and this idea of a book came up. And here's the thing. I can talk all day long. I could do podcast shows or TV shows all day long, but writing for me is a very slow process. Well, I happen to be working with this amazing young woman. Her name is Serena Sandstrom, who totally believes in the Fitlandia mission and vision like no one else that has ever worked with me before. And so she said, well, what if I helped you write it? So that's awesome. I was like, let's do it. And I just put this, because I didn't know any better, I put this crazy timeline to launch it in October, and we were starting it in August. Now, I didn't know any better. If I had done the research, the average is like a year to 2 years.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. But I'm glad I didn't know that, right? Because we just did it. So we met every week, and I would talk about the outline, what it needed to contain. It's really written for the person that I was when I weighed 192 pounds. It's for that woman who does not identify with being overweight, or at the time I was clinically obese, although I don't subscribe to any of that either. But, I was at my heaviest. I didn't know where to begin. I was already overwhelmed at the idea of trying to fit in 15 minutes to breathe. I didn't know how to breathe. So I really wrote this for the person that feels stuck in all of the information but knows it's time to reclaim their vitality. So it's called Strategic Vitality. It's totally written for the type A lady out there, but it's also great for men that are very action-oriented. They want a plan. They want a reason why they're doing everything. 11 small steps to a big transformation. Because the other thing that the book really focuses on is how much the brain loves small wins to keep moving forward. It doesn't have to be big things. So that's why these are small steps. But I get into like the real stuff, like what's your why? Mm-hmm. Write a pros and cons list. Talk about shame, release shame. We just talked about the two very real things so you can release shame. So as she and I were working on that, I'd always, I'm a planner junkie. And I'm always testing out new planners. And because I listen, from my coaching experience, I'm a good listener. And all of my clients or my members were like, I hate to food journal. I hate to food journal. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you have to food journal. There's no, I don't care. I don't need you to count every calorie, but we need to know what you're eating and how it's affecting your body and the time and how you're feeling. So that's where the Strategic Vitality Lifestyle Planner and Journal comes in. And I took the best of everything that I love about planners, which is what are your top 5 targets for the day, and a place to plan out your day and put in your times. When are you going to exercise? When are you going to go to the grocery store? Oh, by the way, you got a meeting with John and Mary, all those things. But it also lets you put in what Mindzoning you listened to that morning, what your takeaway was, a place for affirmations, gratitude. Then on the other side, there's a place to just circle the food group that you ate. So let's say it was soy or sugar or alcohol. You're literally just circling a letter. Yeah. And then there's a place for notes. So if you want to write out more detail, if you're tracking something in particular, or you want to note how you're feeling, but then you rate your hunger at the time you ate, as well as you note what emotion you were having,
that's important.
It's so important to get people, right? Get them out of their head and into their body with how they're feeling emotionally and physically. And then at the very bottom, there's a place to reflect on the day. How was your focus? How was your pain? How was your exercise? How was your poo? We cover it all. So that over time, you can start to see, I always say, if you make time for exercise and good nutrition, you're going to get more done in less time. So this is really an opportunity for people to see their own success. So getting back to the book, as Serena and I were working on this, and I had this great idea, and I'm like, yeah, we'll get to that after this beast is over. She came to me one day in our meetings and said, this has just been weighing on me. I think we need to write this into the book, and we need to do the book at the same time, do the planner at the same time. So I actually launched 2 books at the same time. Wow. I have no idea on earth how I did it.
Wow.
Well, I do, Serena and the grace of God.
Well, you did a good job. It's really...
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you really got into one of the issues that you talked about is food journaling and how people are so resistant to that. And, and I think maybe it's more of a process where people have always believed it's, checking in to see how bad I am instead of seeing how much it's more of a, hey, this is about you, and you get to be excited about what you did and how it's after you see your patterns, it's not in confusion anymore. You can really get into I see when I on Wednesdays have a meeting with so and so, or if I have a bad night or something, you can kind of go back and retrack, and you can't get lost in your stories anymore. So that's really good.
Amen. Yes. So that's just it. It's we can start to see how life affects our nutrition and movement and vice versa. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that
integrates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I told one member, because she was just fighting it every week, and this is a great tip for all you analytical folks out there, become curious about your body. It's this really fun little science experiment. I'm always playing with intermittent fasting or a ketogenic diet. I'm just interested.
Yeah.
And when we can become interested about what is best for our body, it's not a chore anymore. It's not, did I do good? Did I do bad? It's no, how highly am I performing with the habits that I'm creating in my life?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We've done the same thing. We've experimented with many different things, and that's the only way you'll know, right? If what works and what doesn't.
Yep.
Because any way you go, you're always going to have science backing it up. It's either,
It's true.
one way you can say something and you can find the science to back that up, and you can go the other direction and you can have the science back that up. It's more about what your experience and how is your experience changing. And if you have a journal of yourself, you can't deny what has happened if you're truthful to yourself. Like that's the accountability that you need to really want the change. So I understand the process, but it's like, how do you get people to really want it? That's the key of, I guess, your mind zoning. What you're trying to do is get them to see that they want it. They actually do want it.
It's easy for me to journal my food. It's so easy because I made you an awesome planner to do it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, and it's all in one place, and you're not writing it in all different, like on this notepad and over here and that one over there, and it's all like very organized. And I think that's part of it. Like, we have so many different things going on at once, and it's just it's hard to really focus anymore on just one thing. Like I remember when I used to have like a calendar that I wrote down on, right? I wrote my schedule on. That was it. And if I lost it, I was in big trouble. But now, of course, that's not the case. But it's good to get back to even just like writing things down, like with handwriting, and just getting that even changes things too. That changes your neural pathways instead of typing everything. Yep. So I think that's really great for people to get back to. It slows you down too. And that's really important. Like the mind zoning, I think, combined with handwriting your journal is a great way to slow yourself down and to really reflect. So,
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
What do you have on the horizon besides, you've done so much, but it sounds like you're not stopping. So.
Oh, yeah.
I know, right? Every time I look, Krista's doing something new. So I just.
I'm doing 2 new things right now. So, but they're kind of tied together as I'm really looking at getting my 30 Days to Thriving program into fitness studios that don't yet have a nutrition program. I think, again, for me, the reason why New Year's resolutions fail, the reason why a diet anytime fails is because one of those 4 cornerstones is missing. So for fitness studios that might want to have a nutrition component or a mindset component, but don't have that, I really want to get my programs into as many fitness studios that need them as possible. But then I'm also taking my program into corporate wellness. There are so many amazing corporate wellness programs out there, but really the ones that they don't really get to the core of the challenges that come with obesity, the complexity that comes with obesity, the emotions behind it, and really the deep work and connecting the 4 things. So I'm excited to bring my program to corporate wellness in 2018. And then, Allison, as you know, I'm also doing this awesome series on my podcast about all the different types of movement that we can do, because some people are like, should I do bars? Should I do CrossFit? Right. Should I do yoga?
And I don't know if you know about natural movement, MoveNat. That's a new thing on the horizon too. That's fairly new.
Well, then I need an expert in that too.
I'm a certified level 1 trainer, but I can also send you some other women that are really good with that too. They're certified level 3, but yeah, I would say definitely look into that. The gymnastics, strength training too, those kind of things, because there's so many different ways to move, and it's getting really creative. So because I remember when I first got into fitness, there was not very many options, right? Very boring. But now that's great that you're highlighting that for the new year, because I think that's important. Yeah, because
because I think people get stuck, they get overwhelmed. What am I supposed to do? What are the benefits? And I'm all about I know my customer inside and out. She is so busy. She just wants to know what should I be doing. And so really helping to highlight body type, where you're at in your fitness journey, ways to modify each of these, forms of movement is really important. So I'm excited to I should be recording all that in mid-January to the end of January and be able to start rolling that out in February. So I'm psyched about that.
Cool. That's so great.
So one question I wanted to see if maybe you can give a tip on is a lot of fitness centers or gyms and stuff have tried different nutrition people's programs and put them in. And, I notice a lot of times they last for a little while, but then they get kind of lost in the system because of whatever their gym is centered on. So like we had a nutritionist there, and she worked diligently to try to get a lot of people to start incorporating the views of nutrition. And so what would you say one of the tips is if you were, in a position like this where you're trying to incorporate into a fitness center, what are the fitness centers needing and what are you providing?
Yeah, absolutely. It's always going to come back to the 4 cornerstones of fitness. And when one of those things is missing, it's easy to get derailed. Mm-hmm. So what a lot of those programs might not have had is the mindset piece or the community piece.
Right.
So really what I deliver is I look at Fitlandia as a partner with the studios, because I'm not delivering the live in-person classes, right, which are so powerful. I mean, I love them. I love the energy around them. Not for everyone, I get it, but for the people that are going to classes, they enjoy those group classes. They're getting something out of it. So how do we harness that community and actually build upon that community, like in the Fitlandia community? How does that just then become a natural extension as a partner of that fitness studio versus just, here's your meal plan, here's what you should eat? Because everyone that's on in my program, they're on a weekly call with me, and we are navigating the tough stuff, the tough conversation with your kids, with your spouse, with your coworkers, the tough stuff about letting go of relationships once you learn that they were drinking buddies and not friends. And so I think that's like what is so different about Fitlandia is we're getting underneath the hood, but I'm also in there every single day posting up my pictures. Let me see your pictures. Let me give you feedback. So they're getting like real-time constant connection. And that's really what it boils down to. If you give someone a meal plan, and I'm not saying that's the example that you're using, but it's how are you integrating that into a holistic practice?
Yeah. Like your lifestyle, basically, it sounds like what you're saying. And I found that is a strategy that seemed to work really well for the CrossFit gyms. They created a lot of community and and the paleo movement and all that too. That reminds me a lot of that community as well. So, and it's still going and it works really well. And I think because of what you mentioned, they have created a community around that, and it's pretty strong. So
totally. Yeah. They are a great example of the power of community. And even Weight Watchers has done a lot to build a lot of communities. Whether I believe what their philosophies or not, that's a key component. That's what's gotten a lot of people, like millions of people, have gotten healthy and maintained it for a number of years because of that community connection.
Yeah, definitely.
But what happens when the divorce comes, when the job change happens, when like major trauma, loss, that's when that neural pathway's got to be there to say,
that's when we come in.
Yeah, exactly. We got this. We're going to ground ourselves in our meditative practice, our breath work, our self-care, our love. We're going to rely on our tribe to support us and get us through it.
Yeah, and I totally relate to that, and because Maya and I, this is our purpose and our mission as well, is to get, go to the point where you're talking about is like when that stress happens, what do you do? How do you recover from that? How do you know yourself better? How do you integrate the information you learned into a deeper level, and for true health? And that's kind of where we're going with it too. So we appreciate your Krista. We appreciate all your work and just like your energy is just amazing. So you always motivate me. I always look at what you're doing, and you just really, I should say, inspire. You really do inspire me. So thank you.
Well, I think another thing to add is just, what we want to do with our podcast is to help broadcast other people that are helping other people, because of the ideas are so broad. There's so many ways of doing something. But if you're working with people and you're coming into community and accepting that everybody's coming from a different direction, but they're all achieving the same thing, is self-care, integrating your whole life into a life that you feel works for you. And so working with like gyms with different fitness instructors or something, like everyone has their own beliefs, but we honor them and then we bring them together, because that's that's where we get the best ideas, you know, because we may have tried something and then it didn't work, and then we say go back to we meet somebody and say, oh, well, did you try it this way? Yeah. So we really appreciate anyone who comes from an authentic way of saying, hey, I'm here to help you and support you on your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why it's such an honor to be on your show as well, because, you know, anyone that I connect with and just enjoy being around, they have the same core values. Yeah. Letting go of the old dieting paradigms and really helping people reclaim their vitality in the most holistic way possible. So I just really appreciate you guys for having me on the show.
Thank you.
Yes,
we're
thank
happy
you
to have you. And so, Krista, can you tell everybody how they can find you, how they can, you know, find your website, as well as, you know, what is on your website? What will they find there, and where to find your book and the event I think that you have coming up in Portland at Athleta. That's exciting. All that stuff.
Okay, so there's so many ways to get in touch with me. But fitlandiafitness.com. It's not just Fitlandia, it's fitlandiafitness.com. And I post a lot of information up there. You can find my latest podcast show there. You can also sign up for the 30 Days to Thriving program. I run 8 sessions a year. The next one is coming up in February. I'm super excited about it. It's a midday session, so the group coaching calls are at noon. Great for a lunch break, but they'll be recorded if you can't do that. So that's a great way to get in touch with me. Also, I'm in the closed Facebook group a lot.
Okay.
So anyone can just do a search for Fitlandia under groups, request to join, and just come hang out with a bunch of positive people.
What do you do in the Facebook group? Are you just like answering questions? Are you doing like live streaming? What are you doing on that?
I do it all. I do a little live streaming, just like some motivation, or I'll poll and say, hey, what's got you stuck? I'm going to be in the studio this afternoon creating a new Mindzoning. What do you need? Oh, cool. It's just a way for people to get to know me and Fitlandia and more about what we do. I'm on Instagram at Fitlandia Fitness, and I just like posting tons of pictures of my food on there. That's mostly, and every now and then a kitten, which is just fun. And they're my kittens, which won't be happening much longer. But also I have a live event in Portland at Athleta. It's actually like my 4th event there. They've been so awesome about hosting me, but it's all about Mindzoning 101, learning how to harness the power of your mind for lasting fitness. And that's going to be on the 17th of February from 8:30 in the morning to 10 a.m. I would love to meet you all. And then I'll be in San Francisco. Okay, so if anyone's listening, I don't know when this is going to go live, but I'm going to be in San Francisco from the 21st of January to the 27th. If you are listening, if you have a fitness studio, if you have a company there, I will do a free wellness workshop for your team and or your members. So cool. Get in touch with me at cking@fitlandiafitness.com.
I'll try to get it out before that date.
Okay, cool. All right. That's what I'm up to.
Yeah, well, cool. That's amazing, and we want to thank you for being on our show again, because this was fantastic. It's so great talking to you as always, Krista, and good luck on everything. Yeah.
Oh, keep doing your good work, and just keep us informed when something else comes up, and we'll connect our listeners to you at the same time.
Oh, I would love that. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thanks, Krista. Well, hopefully I'll see you again soon.
I'm sure we will.
All right.